What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be looking at the Willpower Cup, and the team we're going to be taking a look at today is MEOWSCARADA, Hisuian Qwilfish, and Shadow Drapion. Now, the reason we're taking a look at this team is because MEOWSCARADA actually got a pretty big buff this season. It has access to LEAFAGE, and LEAFAGE became a Shadow Claw clone. As you can see on the right there, with the stab bonus, 3.6 damage per turn and 4 energy per turn. This is an incredible move, and that allows us to pace to the frenzies after only 12 turns and to the night slashes basically every 9 turns. So without further ado, let's hop into the battles. Alright, into the first match, we've got MEOWSCARADA into Claydol. This is our target. Apologies about the quality of these first few matchups. They were done live on stream, so the quality is a little bit lower and there is a tiny bit more lag. But that said, the opponent comes in with a Rapidash. I respond with my Qwilfish because I have super effective Poison Stings with both of my back 2 Pokemon. I end up calling the Body Slam bait. This is where I learned that Qwilfish actually loses CMP to the Rapidash. Rapidash has, I believe, like 4 more attack, just barely, so very high attack stat on that Pokemon. But we are going to get the Aqua Tail to connect. We get the full Poison Sting farm down, and now in the back, or in the lead, is that Claydol that comes back in. We're actually able to make it to an Ice Beam, and this is going to hit for big, super effective damage. And at this point, we can just come back in with the MEOWSCARADA. MEOWSCARADA has pretty much already done its job. The Claydol is into the red health range, so just going to let this go. It is only the Rock Tomb, and in the back is a Morpeko. So we are going to throw the Frenzy Plant, hoping to grab that shield from my opponent. And as soon as we grab that shield, in comes the Drapion, because now all I have to do is connect with an Aqua Tail, and this game is over, because all of their charge moves are resisted on the MEOWSCARADA. So basically, I just save shields for that in case the Claydol is able to make it to a charge move, and I should be in a pretty good position. They end up going for the Aura Wheel. That picks up the knockout. Now I can shield up whatever charge move this is, even if it's a Psychic Fangs bait. And it is, but it does not matter because we can just LEAFAGE, farm down the rest of his team. Down goes the Morpeko. We actually come out with a Night Slash loaded, and Night Slash is super effective. And on the Claydol, it picks up the knockout from this range, and we are able to take a Game 1 win. Into the next match, we've got MEOWSCARADA into Rapidash. So this is a bad lead. Fairy into our dark, so going to pivot into the Qwilfish, and we are met with a Moltres. And this is part of the reason I'm running Ice Beam as opposed to Shadow Ball on the Qwilfish. Shadow Ball is the recommended moveset on PvPoke, but the reason I'm running Ice Beam is because there are so many Dark Flyers, and it's still super effective against Claydol. So I think having Ice Beam is really good coverage in this meta. You still have an Aqua Tail to hit the steals for neutral damage, like Pawnyard, which you'll probably see in these matchups. I end up grabbing both shields from my opponent, and at this point I'm pretty confident that the Poison Stings have put them in range where an Ice Beam will knock out, so I'm going to commit the double shield as well, and I will look to flip switch in this matchup, able to make it to a third Ice Beam, and Ice Beam, it picks up the knockout on the Moltres. Are they going to come back in with their lead, or are they going to show me their third? They're going to come in with their Rapidash on the lead. Doesn't look like I'm quite going to be able to make it to an Ice Beam. Maybe could have if I survived that last Fairy Wind. And it looks like we would have actually, but that's okay because we still chip it into the red health range. In comes the Drapion. Drapion can take a Mega Horn here, but it is going to hurt. It connects, instantly pivot into the MEOWSCARADA, and in the back it's another Morpeko. Now Morpeko, of course, completely walled in this matchup unless they're running Outrage, but most are not running Outrage. They go for the Aura Wheel. That does not look resisted, but that is okay because I can still look to overfarm here, go for the Frenzy Plant to pick up the knockout. Frenzy Plant easily going to knock out the Glassy Morpeko, and if the Rapidash comes back in, they're going to get LEAFAGE farmed down, and we are able to take that win. Into the next match, we've got MEOWSCARADA into Sableye. So this is a pretty decent lead. Their Shadow Claws and the Foul Plays are resisted, so just going to stay in this matchup. The opponent only farms up 5 here, which means this is only enough for a Foul Play, except my opponent is running Drain Punch. I literally could not believe it when I saw it. Drain Punch is an absolutely terrible move. It's cool tech that Sableye knows it this season, and it doesn't look like it's probably going to help it out because even though that was super effective damage, it looked like a resisted Foul Play. That said, we were able to grab a shield from the opponent. They end up pivoting into a Primeape in the back, and I don't have a great response to Primeape, so I am just going to come in with my Qwilfish. They end up going for the Ice Punch, and now I can make it to an Ice Beam of my own. I'm not expecting my opponent to shield, so I'm full setting the harder charge move. They're only able to make it to a Rage Fist here, which is good because I should be able to live this. It is resisted damage, and I do on 1 HP. Back in comes the Sableye. I actually get lag, which is really unfortunate because had I gotten that Aqua Tail off, they would have just been in like Poison Sting farm down range for my Drapion later in the match. But unfortunately, they're now at half HP. I should have been able to get that charge move off. They got 2 Shadow Claws in the time that I got farmed down there and didn't get to the Aqua Tails. That is really unfortunate. I am able to make it to the back-to-back Aqua Tails against this Pawniard, and I really need to grab that final shield or connect with this Aqua Tail. So I will commit the shield and Aqua Tail. From this range, probably not quite enough to pick up the knockout here, but it will put them very low. But I have the Frenzy Plant loaded, so I can snipe with the Frenzy, and Frenzy, even though it's resisted, easily picks up the knockout on the Glassy Pawniard. Back in comes the Sableye, and look, if that Aqua Tail connected, this game would have been a hell of a lot closer. Who knows? They might have survived on like 1 HP, but it would have been close. It only does like 30% to the Sableye, so probably still would have lost that one, but it would have been pretty close. Pretty good lead in the next match, though. We've got MEOWSCARADA into Hypno. The opponent ends up safe switching into a Snarl Scrafty, of all things, which is absolutely crazy. I am just going to farm up to the Frenzy Plant, connect with that, and then look to catch a resisted, or not a resisted, but a neutral Force Bomb onto my Qwilfish. But as soon as that Frenzy connects, my opponent was over it. They resign the match, and we are able to take that win. Terrible lead in the next match. We've got a Fury Cutter user against my MEOWSCARADA, going to pivot into the Qwilfish, and the Qwilfish is met with a Claydol. Now this is another good instance where having Ice Beam is nice because Ice Beam is still super effective damage. It connects, and look at this. We can get to an Aqua Tail only 1 turn later after throwing on good timing, which means we're actually going to grab a shield in this mid game. And yes, the Claydol is going to come out absolutely loaded with energy, and I probably will respect an Ice Beam in case they have it, just so that I can have that Night Slash later for the Metang. Am I going to commit the shield, or am I going to call the Rock Tomb bait? No, I'm just going to go for the shield and then just look for the full farm down, and I do get the farm down. At this point, I can just throw a chip a little bit with the Night Slash. This will only do about 50%. Metang is pretty bulky. Not even, actually. Well, the lower of the attack makes sense. In comes a Drapion, and in the back is a Hoopa, of all things. And Hoopa, unfortunately, is double weak to Crunch. Crunch one-shots the Glassy Hoopa. Back in comes the Metang. Metang already going to be outpaced. We make it to the Crunch, and now all we have to do is make it to a Night Slash on the MEOWSCARADA. The opponent knows this, so they let it go, and we are able to take that win. Into the next match, another Rapidash lead, so you already know we're getting out of this matchup into the Qwilfish. The opponent is going to stay in this matchup originally and connect with a Body Slam before we get off that Aqua Tail. So this will do some okay chip, but nothing that's worth very threatening. In comes a Primeape in the back. I probably should have full sent the Ice Beam here, but I knew 1 Ice Beam wasn't enough to pick up the knockout, so instead I'm going to go the double Aqua Tail route. This is only enough for a Rage Fist, so I know I actually can live this, so I will just let it go, and at this point I will full send the Ice Beam because they know they can live an Aqua Tail from this range, so if they wanted to, they could let it go, but my opponent ends up committing the shield anyways. At this point, I'm in a pretty awkward spot because this is a Primeape up energy, and I don't really have a great response to just a mono fighter up energy. I am going to come in with the MEOWSCARADA. MEOWSCARADA has kind of already done its job. It's drawing dead on the lead, so I may as well let this go. Ice Punch picks up the knockout. In comes the Drapion, and in the back is a Cacturn, so this might be our saving grace because they are ABA weak to poison, and their Primeape is pretty much already removed. Crunch is resisted, but it picks up the knockout. That's shadow on shadow damage for you. Is the Rapidash going to come back in? We have the shield advantage, and because I overfarmed by 1, I'm also able to outpace the Rapidash. So barring and catch, this game is already over. The opponent commits the shield on the Aqua Tail. Can I make it to another Aqua Tail? Yes, I can. The opponent knows this. They resign the match, and we are able to take that win. Into the next match, we've got another bad lead. We've got Primeape going to safe switch into the Qwilfish, and Qwilfish is unanswered. The opponent is going to stay in this matchup, allowing me to get my turn back by throwing the Aqua Tail. That does about 50%, and in the back is Morpeko. Now, Morpeko is still going to get outpaced here. I am going to make it to an Aqua Tail 1 turn before they get to the Aura Wheel, and this will do some very solid chip, because if they go for the Aura Wheel to pick up the knockout on the St. Tie, which is what I expect they will do, I can just come in with the MEOWSCARADA. Like I've said previously, we resist every single charge move, and yes, they are 1x boosted, so this is still going to really hurt the MEOWSCARADA, but we can live it just barely, and we can look to go for the full leafage farm now. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Just going to let this go. Aura Wheel, that does not look like it was resisted. It puts us deep into the red health range. back in comes the Primeape. Primeape will be met with the Drapion. I don't concede the farm down, and I have some energy on my MEOWSCARADA for later, so that is good. They full send the close combat. They're at the back-to-back, so I will respect both. I basically need my Drapion to win this game for me, so I commit both shields. I have to hope whatever is in the back is weak to some charge move from the Drapion, and in the back it is... Drum roll, please. It's a Metang. So Metang actually does take super effective damage from the crunch, so I will full send the crunch here. The opponent lets it go knowing they can survive one, but that puts them in Aqua Tail range. So I'm now just going to start spamming out these Aqua Tails, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to farm up to the Aqua Tail and then bank that. They could throw their energy at any time, but I try and go for the catch. My opponent tries to go for the catch at the exact same time, allowing me to make it to a Night Slash. Night Slash is super effective damage. They have to shield that up, but now they're in Aqua Tail range, and I banked the Aqua Tail from earlier, and somehow, some way, we are going to win this matchup with a down 2 shields and just absolutely no business winning that matchup. But into the next matchup, we've got MEOWSCARADA into the Drapion. Now, we do take super effective damage from the fast move. However, their charge moves are completely walled. So what I'm initially going to do is pivot into my Qwilfish, and Qwilfish will be able to connect with the Aqua Tail and the CMP tie. It looks like my opponent may have lagged by a turn at the beginning or hadn't started tapping their screen, which is why I was able to get there on the CMP tie, which is really nice. Because now I can put this Drapion deep into the red health range. It won't be enough to pick up the knockout, but nor will their Aqua Tail. Both of us will live in the deep red. I believe they will be able to get the Poison Sting farm down in the zero shield scenario, but that's okay, because all that does is set up a farm down for my own Shadow Drapion. And in the back is a Moltres. So already my alarm bells are firing. I'm like, I think I know what this team is going to be. It's going to be Drapion double Dark Flyer, because they're weak to ground on the lead. They have a fairy answer on the lead, so I'm assuming it's just 2 Dark Flyers. I think that team building makes sense in kind of an ABB style team, and they have dark coverage for all of the psychics in this meta, so that's what I'm expecting. I am able to make it to the back-to-back Aqua Tails, one before they make it to another fly, and now I'm going to go for one in the move, catching the fly, completely sacrificing my MEOWSCARADA because I do think they're weak to the Drapion in the back, and in the back I was correct. It is another Dark Flyer, but unfortunately, because I pivoted into my Qwilfish as the save swap instead of the Drapion, I'm going to lose this matchup, because even though my Aqua Tails are neutral, they're on Air Slash, means all they have to do is go for the full Air Slash farm down or make it to back-to-back charge moves, and these Air Slashes are just adding up way too much. I can commit the shield. They're finally at their first Aerial Ace, but it just does not matter. They're going to get the full farm down with the fast moves. It's going to be close. I might get to another charge move here, but I doubt it, and they could just snipe with the Sucker Punch on the Moltres. That's exactly what they're going to do. They get the farm down, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. Into next match, another terrible lead, MEOWSCARADA into Mandibuzz, going to save switch this time into Drapion, because have I learned my lesson that maybe I can have the Ice Beam Qwilfish to close out the end game. So able to make it to the crunch, luring out the Claydol. We actually grab a shield with a crunch as well, and then they throw their energy and not allowing me to get to crunch number 2. So yes, they're at full HP, but they are energy dry, and we are at complete wall here to their fast move, which means I can just go for the Frenzy Plant to pick up the knockout before they make it to Rock Tomb number 2. Frenzy Plant easily picks up the knockout on the Claydol, and now in comes the Qwilfish. In the back is a Rapidash, so there is a glimmer of hope in this endgame. I'm going to go straight Aqua Tail in this matchup. I don't think I need to go any extra. They do let it go, but that does put them in Poison Sting farm down range, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. But I will throw one more Aqua Tail one turn before they get to their second Body Slam, because I do want to at least grab that final shield for my opponent if they're not going to let me get the full farm, or if they before they can grab a second shield from me. And I will be shielding up everything from the Rapidash, because Rapidash is going to do way more damage than the Mandibuzz, because the attack stat is massively different. I'm able to come out with an Ice Beam loaded, and they no longer have shields in play, but I think they're only one Air Slash away from a charge move. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw one and the move, looking for the catch. I don't quite get it, but I'm not quite in Aerial Ace range on my Qwilfish. So what I will do is I'll throw this Night Slash as soon as I get it to put them in Aqua Tail range, and then just hope that I can survive the Air Slash following the Aerial Ace that picks up the knockout, because they are now at the back-to-back charge moves. Aerial Ace number 1 picks up the knockout. Can I survive an Aerial Ace plus the Night Slash? It's going to be close. Mandibuzz is a very bulky Pokemon. Its attack stat is very low. We live the Aerial Ace and the following Air Slash afterwards, which is massive, because we make it to the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail picks up the knockout on the Mandibuzz, and we are able to take that win. So yeah, MEOWSCARADA, I mean, All I can say about this Pokemon is that it's cool that it got buffed with Leafage. Yes, it can hunt Claydol in this meta. Is it a good Pokemon by any means? It has the same pacing as something like a Superior last season, but the main difference between Superior and MEOWSCARADA is both of their typings isn't great, but it's the bulk. And unfortunately, MEOWSCARADA massively lacks on the bulk. Yes, Leafage does a little bit more damage than Vine Whip, but it doesn't quite make up for it. Maybe if this Pokemon ever got a Shadow, it could be a little bit interesting, but I'm not really sure how you would make this thing truly meta. In this cup, I think it's decent at best. I wouldn't run this team for climbing, but it was a fun team to play on stream. That said, I want to say a special thank you to the expert trainer members on this channel, Benny Hamlock, Dr. Mustache, So Patil, and Eliana, as well as the legend trainer members on this channel, Big Burden, Andrew Pitt, Moosajute, Noodleman, Speedster, Estros, Luna Lagamore, Tom Spencer, Fast Eddie Boss, Jamie Finn, CD Slaskas, and Castle. So thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, peace.